Hey guys, this is Summit Studios 2K doing my review for The Walking Dead Season 2. Now, this video is going to have a lot of major spoilers about the season because there's really not a way to review it without talking about all the events that happened this season. So, if you have not seen all of Season 2, I would suggest watching the season first, then watching my review for it because I don't want to spoil any of the big things that happened for you. Well, starting off, the season began. They were on the run just after leaving the CDC after the end of the first season, and they stumble on this highway where the RV breaks down, so they have to wait there, and of course, that's when the zombies come. And that really starts off the season on a really fast pace from there, and Sophia gets lost, and that's sort of what the storyline they ride there for the first half of the season with Sophia. And my first thing about this is I know a lot of people have been saying that this season was boring. There wasn't enough zombies. It was just talking the whole time. And I get where people are coming from when they're saying that, but like they developed the characters really well for the first half of the season, and people who waited and watched the whole first half, they got the feel for the characters, and then the second half of the season is when it really picked up with the zombies and everything. But going back to the Sophia thing, they definitely, I do think they dragged that out a bit much there. I understand that they wanted to sort of save up the big twist and everything for the mid-season finale, which I thought was great. That was one of the best scenes from the season with Shane at that point. And Shane's character this season really grew into one of my favorites who was on the show. Of course, he wasn't there by the end of the season, but I mean, I don't read the comic books, but I know he died early in the comics, so they can't really leave him around that long. And but his character, they just really developed him great because they made him out to be this sort of villain, but trying to keep the group safe and making decisions. And he was sort of fighting off Rick for that leadership position. And now another major thing that happened in the first episode was Carl getting shot, and this is overlooked by a lot of people because he heals up and everything, but I think that was actually a pretty big turning point just for the first episode because, I mean, Sophia was already lost, and then after Carl gets shot, Rick has to stay by Carl and help him while Shane goes out, and he ends up killing Otis for him, but that's sort of when Shane turns there. Once he killed Otis, he sort of realized that he's going to have to do these things to keep his people safe. And that's sort of when he came into the picture for battling Rick for the leadership position was after Carl got shot because he loves Lori and Carl, and like Rick said in the finale, he acted like Rick when he came back, he stole them from them because he wanted them for himself. Now, like I said, the first half of the season was pretty slow for me, but I did really enjoy it. Like, I definitely watched it every week. I was excited on Sundays to see it, to see where they would go next. And another thing about the first half of the season I liked was seeing Meryl again. I mean, I know it's just a hallucination for Daryl, but just seeing him and seeing that character brought back into the show was good, and I hope he'll be fully back in season 3 because I think he's one of the best characters on the show in just his terms of Roker acting that part. I mean, I think he plays it perfectly. Now moving on to the second half of the season, Sophia died. That was sort of the turning point for Rick because in the first episode after the mid-season finale, it was called Nebraska. Though that's when those two guys from the bar came in and they sort of drew their weapons, and Rick just killed them both, which I don't think he would have been able to do if Sophia wouldn't have been in that barn, because that's when he sort of grew cold almost, but in a good way, because he was too nice before, as I said in my video on Rick versus Shane on who I thought was the better leader was, which overall I thought Shane was, but watch that video too. Just a pretty big discussion there, and on this video you can leave your comments on that if you thought Rick was the better leader or Shane and tell me why. But after that, of course, in the episode Triggerfinger, they save Randall, who was a member of this surviving group that was trying to kill them, the same group of the guys that Rick killed in the bar. And I thought that was a bad decision from the beginning to bring him back. I don't think they should have let the zombies got him and suffered, but I agree with what Herschel said, that they should have just put him down on the spot there because it would have been better off for him anyway. And he was really a threat to have at the camp. That's another reason with Rick, some of his decisions I thought were too nice. But overall, I thought the season was very good, especially in how it picked up in the second half of the season because, I mean, seeing the zombies at the barn at the end of the first half was satisfying to finally see them fighting more zombies. And when Daryl fought the two zombies in the one episode, those were just sort of appetizers, but the second half it really picked up, especially in Triggerfinger and when they were fighting all those zombies down there. And then in the episode 18 Miles Out, when Rick and Shane got into the fight and all the zombies came coming out, I thought that was great. Next, I think that Shane, how he died, I thought they played that off perfectly because in the episode 18 Miles Out, in the end, Rick tells him it's time for you to come back, and you can tell Shane is and I thought they were going to give him sort of a hero's death, and I don't want that because in the first half of the season, they just developed him to be sort of a villain, and I thought if he would have just turned right there and had a good guy's death, that just would have did everything. It would have took everything back that they did. And so I'm happy they went the full villain route with him. I thought it was a great scene. That was one of my favorite scenes in the whole season. I probably watched that 10 times before the finale, seeing the Rick and Shane confrontation, and we killed him with the knife, and then, of course, Carl ended up killing him as the zombie. And I know that everyone is infected. When Randall came back without being bit after Shane broke his neck, and then when Shane came back. And I actually thought that was what Jenner whispered. I said that from the end of last season. I always said maybe they're all infected, maybe if they die, they'll come back whether they get bit or not, because I thought that would be something shocking, and it turns out that's exactly what it was. But, it's a really good twist. And I agree with Rick that he didn't really need to tell him because, you're living in that world. What's the point of knowing that, And the end of the season, of course, they had, in the finale, they had a lot of special cameos saying with the new character, Michonne. I hope I said that right. I probably didn't. Like I said, I don't read the comic books. And then seeing the prison in the background at the very end, which I know I know about the comics, even though I haven't read them. I know that's obviously where they're going to meet up with the governor, who they casted David Morrissey to play, who is a pretty good British actor, so I'm excited to see what he does. And overall, I thought the season was very good. It kept me interested the whole time. I really liked the character development, and the action with the zombies at the end of the season was really great, and the finale was amazing. With the barn, I thought they just wrapped everything up perfectly. And yeah, that's my review of The Walking Dead Season 2. So, if you want to leave a comment on what your thoughts were on the season, or about Rick and Shane, or really anything, any of the characters, Dale's death too, that was surprising to me. But yeah, just leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. You can subscribe. I'll have more reviews up this week. I'll have a show up on Saturday about the movie news wrap up for the week. I'll be doing that on Saturdays. And on Sundays, I will have a movie calendar, basically telling you what all movies are coming out this week. So yeah, subscribe and see my videos, and I have a page on Facebook, which is Summit Studios 2K. So like that too.